awakening once again. Thank you for tuning in. Here's my co-host, Reggie Whitley. Hi, Reggie.
Hello. Hi.
Today,
Fine. And yourself?
I am wonderful. So today,
Amen.
we're gonna talk on some a good little topic today. It's something that I've been struggling with because
My God.
growing back in our days, we couldn't ask this question. We couldn't say
Your
this
day ain't
word,
matter.
huh?
I was just saying your day ain't matter, with different ages.
We couldn't say this word. If we said this word back in the day, it was like, you just cussed out your parent.
My
But we're
God.
in and now these kids will say this one word, and I have to catch myself with my kids. Why? The word why. Uh
I thought that you were about to say lie.
uh-uh.
Because we couldn't say that.
Yeah, right.
Um,
We couldn't say that anymore.
my grandmother didn't like for me to say hate. One time I said I hate something and she was like, you don't even know what that means. And I thought I was telling her I knew what it meant. I said don't like, and she thought that I was like changing what I was saying, but I was giving her the definition. But that's when I learned I couldn't say that I hate something. Go ahead though.
Yeah. So the
Gotta
issue
watch
is
your mouth.
right, yeah, like right now is why. They have this thing, God be like, go do this, go do that. Why?
My
Or
God,
can't have this, or you can't do that. Why? And so
my
for
God.
me, yeah, I sometimes I have to catch myself because the '80s mama kick in and the '90s mama kick in because that's what you've been taught. And when you had your kids of your own, you like certain things. You think about as a child, I wouldn't do this, or my kids ain't gonna do this, or let us saying how we do try to break the generational curses. And so I had to sit back and I had to think about it. Should I knock them out or should I pop them for saying asking why? How did I feel as a child? Um, it was plenty of times I wanted to say why, but I was too scared to. So in certain situations. And so now we dealing with why. And the old saying is, because I said so. I'm the
Mhm.
parent, the adult. I'm the parent and the adult, and you the child. So whatever I say goes. But we all know that is a broken statement in this day and time because the kids do as they see you do. They don't do as you say. They do as they see you do. And so it goes back to that why. And so I actually had to think about it. Like I said, I thought about, you know, when they come and say why, or I don't want to, or, all this stuff that back in the day I would have been on the floor trying to get somebody to do CPR on me to come back. Um, I think it needs to be talked about. I think it needs to be addressed as to how we communicate it. Uh, is it okay? Now that as I'm growing, I have my own kids. I understand why they ask questions or why they will want to know, but sometimes it is a bleeding situation, as I call it. Uh, some things is for grown folks, and some things you shouldn't, or the kids shouldn't have to deal with. Like the kids shouldn't have to deal with bills and stuff like that. That shouldn't even be nothing that they have to be concerned with. But uh I do explain certain things and certain transitions that we have went through in the past where we had to not have something and advise them it's prioritized. We have to prioritize. I give them that word more now than anything. Some things is more important than others. And I didn't get that growing up. So, and for me, it was like, okay, so we ain't got cake. Why? Why you can't pay the bill? This, whatever. So you try not to put them in the grown people, the parent mind frame, but at the end of the day, you also want to teach them about finances and the importance. Some things are wants and not needs. Some things come up and you got to strategize, you got to change. And so the why to me is getting better in a sense as of being more self-explanatory as a parent to get them to understand now that you're gonna go through certain things when you grow up if you know you don't get it together.
Yeah, so one of the things that that was a lot to take in, to start us off. First of all, hi, I'm Reggie. My God, that was a lot to digest. One of the things that stood out the most was when you said you have to figure out how did you feel. Let me start off by saying, y'all know I like to make sure I preference my stuff correctly. Not a parent. Never had no children. It's very intentional because I didn't want to take care of any. Um, doesn't mean that I'm not gonna have any anytime soon, but I just want to say I'm not one now. So she's speaking as a parent. I'm speaking as what I hope to be as a parent. Um, so I said that before I asked the question or made the statement. I wonder sometimes, do parents take the time to feel because parents were children too? Do parents take the time to feel um, or think about how did I feel when I was my child's age? I see a lot of dumb stuff. Y'all know I use. Hi, we've been off the air for a while. I don't know what episode this is, um, but I feel like I have to let maybe remind people in case this is the first show. I don't know. We just record these and we put them out later. But I just have to remind people, I do use stronger words. I don't cuss, but I use stronger language. I think I see a lot of stupid things, and it makes me wonder, how do you think that child feels? Children are humans. I was talking to a friend the other day. Hi, friend. And she watches the show. She knows who I'm talking about because this is the only person that I talk to about this particular thing. And she's older. She has children. She has adult children. You guys are never going to guess who this is, by the way. And she was saying that she kind of like paralleled some parenting styles with slavery. And I was like, okay, so that makes me look at a lot of stuff differently. So now I'm thinking, why is it that parents don't think about how they feel or just put themselves in their child's shoes and say, okay, this might be how they feel if I say this? I see some people like every other thing they say is with an attitude. They can't just give an answer, they have to get smart with the child. And it's like, why don't you think about how that child must feel? Why don't you think about how you would have felt if somebody said that rough to you like that? And I think it's very dumb. And so I want people to start doing that. And it puts me back to what she said about paralleling parenting or grandparenting or uncling or aunting with slavery. When the slave master, and I'm not big on, all of that kind of stuff, but when the slave master would say stuff to the slave, they didn't care. I mean, look at how that's similar. They didn't care how you felt. They didn't care what you walked away with. When the slave couldn't say, "Why do I have to do this?" Because I said so. So let's look at that. And I think this is why we see it a lot in the Black culture. This very, very toxic style of parenting. And a lot of and a lot of y'all children grow up to be grown and they don't like y'all. They don't talk to y'all. That's because you are a bad parent. So a lot of you think that it's your child's fault when they just treat me bad. No, boo, it's because you are a bad parent. You didn't know how to parent. Well, I just did what I thought was best. They did. My mama did it. That man. Look how I grew up. Look how you grew up. You didn't grow up doing right. You didn't learn from what your mother did, what your father did. You said, I'm gonna mimic them. How horrible. Why do you want to be like your mom? Why do you want to be like your dad? Why don't you want to be better? So no matter how good of a parent one is, should always aim to be better. So that's just my take on it. I think that we should do better, and we're going to talk more into the whys and the hows.
Yeah, I think it's like you said, it is, and that made me think about it because I never thought about it like a slavery. Yeah,
Because it's far fetched. When she first said it to me, I was like, because some people, that's all they do. They just go straight to the slavery. And I'm like, man, they just go straight to it being a race thing. They just go straight to it being there again. Yeah, I've been, everything, a lot of stuff, yes, everything, no. But the more she explained it, I was like, wait a minute. There's similarities there. They're similar. You disobey, you get beat.
yeah,
Isn't that in both? You don't know which one I was just talking about. You don't know if I was talking about in the household with the mama and daddy or with the slave and the slave master because it happens in both. You ask me why, you get punishment. You don't know who I'm talking about because it's in both. It was in both. Whoops. So, we have to look at it and be realistic with it. And then we have to figure out what better ways. I mean, because that happened to so many generations. Imagine it got passed down. And then when you really think about it, let's go back to the slaves, our ancestors who were slaves. You think that they was getting beat by their master and they didn't go and beat their children? Because you got to take that frustration out. You have to feel power somewhere. Your master didn't let you feel power. So you got to establish dominance. This is why, and we're not talking about the church today. This is why a lot of these pastors are the ways that they are because they have to feel power and dominance somewhere. We're not here to talk about it. We're talking about your parenting. But I just had to throw it out there sometime later. But a lot of stuff goes back to that. You have to feel power somewhere. But the thing is, a lot of the slaves didn't realize that that's what they were doing. Just like a lot of you parents don't realize when you have a bad day at work and you will holler and beat your children when you get home, you don't realize you're projecting that onto your children. You don't realize it. I mean, I'm saying it now and y'all are watching and you still don't know I'm talking about you. I'm not talking about anybody in particular, but you don't even know that this applies to you because it doesn't register. Just like it didn't register with them. They had to establish dominance, only place they can. Husband can establish dominance with their wife and then husband and wife can establish dominance with their children. This is slavery. Now we're here. It continued and it continued and it continued, and we got free and it kept going, and we got liberated and we kept going, and we demolished segregation and it kept going, and we're in 2022 and it's still here.
yeah.
And this is why y'all are still doing the parenting that you're doing because it just trickled down all the way from slavery, guys, until 2022.
And so it goes back to not only why chastising a child, and the slavery mentality. Uh, I believe what the Bible said: spare the rod, spoil the child, spare the rod.
I'm literally looking it up on my phone right now. Just
So,
Google spare the
and
rod, spoil the child.
I, um, I believe that back in the day we used to give mine, bro. Your girl had
Because y'all
switches,
had it worse than me.
switches, broomstick, and it was like anything back in the day that a parent could pick up, like the masters did, whatever they got and picked up and swung on. That's what you was getting. And so it goes back, and that's another thing, the chastisement. With the why you get the chastisement, and but I think we're confused. A lot of parents are confused as far as what does that mean, because you can spare the rod, but some of the things that you spare the rod over, it goes back to the why. Explain it to your child. Some kids, they're not here like they know. You know, uh like they born with 20 years experience or 30 years experience like we have. And we tend to as parents, but they should know better. They older. How? Because we talking about a 7, 8-year old acting like a 7, 8-year old, operating like a 7, 8-year old.
Can I jump
And
in real fast?
Yes.
Because many parents be wanting their 7, 8-year-old to act like they're older, but then that's what you expect from the child. But then when they get to be 15, 16, and they be acting grown,
Then you
but
want
you wanted them to act growner, you wanted them to act older when they were young.
then you
Now
want to
they
come.
double digits and they acting grown. Well, I don't know what done got into you. I raised you better than that. No, you didn't. You raise them to act grown. Because if they 7, 8 supposed to act 12, 13, by the time they get the number, the math be math, then by the time they get 15, 16, they should be in their 20s. So when you put that in them, that's the seed that you planted. So you can't get mad when they acting grown. You
Yeah,
did that to them. Sorry,
yeah.
go ahead. That's just I want to throw it in there.
So true, because I even had to, I experienced that as a parent. One of the things I tell Soraya, like you should be old enough, you should know, you should, and I had to pull back and understand, basically, no, she don't, and she just be looking at me like a deer in headlights, like, and then that agitates me because I'm like, girl, like really, and I think we put so much on them, responsibility of being like Soraya the oldest. So the expectations for her, for me, is much more than I would. But at the end of the day, why? I mean, she's just a child. So for me, growing up, I was the oldest. I was the oldest out of five. And so I had more responsibilities. Like I was telling her, I said, don't you know, when I was your age, when I was 10, I was cooking, I was doing this and I was doing that. And you got it scot free. Like you don't even have to do that type of stuff. I don't even hold you accountable to make sure this, or whatever, or punish you because you didn't do it. And I think we as parents need to really look at what are we pushing the kids to grow up so fast for? I think life teaches lessons and we should teach them as life goes. But why are we so pushing them to grow up before their time? Because that's why they don't want baby dolls no more. That's why when you give a 9 or 10-year-old baby doll, they looking at you like, so what my iPhone 13 at? Hello, and I got an iPhone 6 Plus. Until it
You didn't
dies,
have to tell them that. You did not have to tell these people that.
because I want people to know. Until it dies all the way out, your girl gonna have it.
Sow a seed into her life so she can get her another.
And y'all can sow it, y'all can sow it, them go get it, because it ain't gonna be because I'm trying to keep up. That's it.
My
As long as it can
God.
do it, it's good. But it go like I say, it goes back to saying, these kids, they want to be up on a current everything. They don't. 10 years old, they don't. They mind levels are way beyond their years now. They come in here smart. Tell the truth.
So one of the things that we have to do is really, so like, so many of us have experienced it. Um, so two examples that come to mind. Many of us have experienced it. So one of the things, especially if you are Black, you may go into something, an area, a group of people or something, and they be like, you don't act Black. Or you talk on the phone, you don't talk Black. Or, like some Black people don't like chicken. And there are people who will say, you Black?
Yeah.
You don't like chicken? And so, what does it mean? What is acting Black? What is you don't talk Black? What do Black people talk like? We have to do that same thing with children. You need to act like you 7. What does that look like? It's not a one. It's not like an across the board thing. You need to act your age. Well, what do people my age act like? It's not an across the board thing. So people need to reestablish because at one point, I mean, let's just be honest. We don't even have to go back in the day versus now. Let's go to like China. I mean, at 10, they're working in factories. at 10. That's what that looks like over there. So I mean, they're working long shifts in some of those third world countries. Was it third world countries? I think, I don't know. So that's what 10 is over there. So 10 over here, you can have somebody up the street who can, I don't know what, write in cursive very well at the age of 7. You might have somebody in your household, literally again, up the street who can't write in cursive at the age of 7. You can't say you need to be writing in cursive because they write in cursive up the street. They your same age. It's not an across the board thing. So one of the things we have to get out of the habit of now, of course, there is the immature, you act mature and all that stuff, but stop projecting so much on children because of their age. One of the things that you also said that I commend you for, but I'm a dog these other ones out for not. Yes, that was a joke, guys. I'm not trying to dog you guys out. I'm a comedian. I don't want anybody to say a dog. I want you to leave here. You said that you tell your daughter when I was your age, I was ... But you did say, I don't expect you to do that and all that stuff. But one of the things that a lot of people do is say, we'll do that. When I was your age, I was doing this. By the time I was your age, I was doing that. And okay, I mean, so what's the purpose of you saying it? We gotta stop the comparison. And a lot of people compare their children. I was compared once to somebody else's child. And I mean, the guy I think was a year and a half, 2 years older than me. And I remember being told, well, why don't you do this like them? Why don't they do this? Why don't you act like that? Because I'm not them. Can we let children be individuals?
Exactly.
And instead of trying to just throw so much at them, teach them. There was a thing on TikTok, and it made me think because it was like, because y'all know I love TikTok. Boy, I love me some TikTok. I have like several thousand videos, several thousand.
And I'm
It's between 3 and 5 videos saved in my phone. If it ever shuts down, I got us. I got us. I got education. I got comedy. I got skits. I got jokes. I have serious talks. I have life lessons, business lessons. I got us. But I was on TikTok and they asked the question, were you ever taught to clean or were you just told to clean? And I was like, it made me think. Because when I read the comments, because I do a lot of case studies on social media, because I be reading them comments, boy, I would spend like a whole hour just scrolling comments because you'll learn a lot. You learn more in comments than you do in the actual post. And so many people were saying they were never taught to clean. They just woke up one day and their parents said, clean up. You got to clean the bathroom. That's your responsibility. You got to wash it. But they were never taught. But then they went on to describe how they got in trouble because the dishes weren't clean.
Yeah.
But they were never taught to clean how to wash dishes. They got in trouble because they messed up all the white clothes because they were told to wash clothes, but they were never taught how to wash clothes. What sense does it make as a parent or anybody? Imagine going to a job and you're new to the field and they just put you out there and say, now do it. No training, no lessons, no walkthrough, no shadowing. They just said, just do it.
Just do it.
I'll see you at the end of the day. And at the end of the day, you do bad and they punish you. Is that fair? So what I'm trying to get people to realize is, number one, children are humans. Number two, you have to just think, put yourselves in their shoes. Because our lives are not that different. The parent's life is not that different from the child's life. Parents, a lot of them go to work, they work all them hours, dealing with all those people, doing stuff that they don't want to do, answering to somebody else. Children go to school, hours, deal with people they don't know, do stuff they don't want to do, answer to somebody. What's the difference, guys? What's the difference?
True.
So I think that we have to, by we I mean y'all, because I don't have children, put ourselves, by ourselves I mean y'all, off of the pedestal and say, okay, let's be level. I don't care how old your child is. One of the most powerful things that I heard very young is somebody was saying to me, and she was like, I was young, I was maybe 13, 14. And she was saying, I asked her something, she said, yes, sir. And I was like, what? And so I just went on and I asked her something else later, and she said, yes, sir. And I was like, Why are you saying yes, sir? She said, because I expect you to say yes, ma'am. And I can't expect from you what I don't give you. And so we have to put ourselves off of a pedestal and go even. I mean, even if they're young, go even at a certain point because you can see eye to eye then. Our lives are not that different. Different settings, maybe a little bit more on one than the other, but our lives are not that different. And try to figure out how would this make me feel? And that'll let you know how would it make you feel if you broke a dish and your husband came home and knocked you upside your head. But you just did that to your child. Your laughs are not that different. How would you feel if you got yelled at for just 10 minutes? I mean, you go on, a lot of these parents, the day goes on and they still be mumbling, walking around with attitude. How would you feel if your wife did that to you? Just hollered at you. I mean, just mad at you all day. Y'all go to bed, you wake up mad, your wife just slammed the plate down in front of you for dinner. They don't say nothing. How would you feel if your wife, but you doing that to your child?
Yeah.
A lot of y'all just need to humble yourself too. But I'm done.
So we have so much things we need to break dealing with kids, and like you say, we basically have to look at it from a point of view is what are you teaching them? What are you exposing them to? The amount of the requirements of, because even I remember when I was telling you about Soraya and the whole cleaning up, you said, did you ever teach her how to clean? And I was like, no, she she see me clean it up. I'm quite sure she watched me, but it made me think about it. As a parent, I'm just doing what I usually do. And so they don't care about that.
Right?
Yeah, she didn't care about
Because
that.
I mean, think about it this way, and even because I know you already got it, so I ain't got to tell you. I'm just talking to them. Because children, imagine all a child's life. You got to drive them around. Tell them get in the driver's seat. Why you don't know how to drive? You've been watching me drive all these years. Does that make any sense? So you still have to actually teach because I can sit and watch somebody do something forever. My mama's been doing hair almost all my life. I've seen her do countless heads. I can't do no hair because why would I be taking that in when that's not something that I ever wanted to do or expected to do or saw myself doing? I just see what my mama doing. So same thing with you walk in a house and it's clean. Why you just sit that down? It's just crazy. Now you walked in this house and it's clean. I just cleaned up the house. Why you put your coat down right there? You see this house clean? No, they didn't.
Yeah.
A child don't walk in the house and say, "Oh, it's clean in here." Even teenagers, they don't walk in the house, most of them, and say, "Oh my goodness, it's so clean. Let me go put my coat in the closet." They wouldn't
No.
put their clothes in the closet before. So why would they think, oh? And so we won't, there it is. So we want that kind of like gratification. When people do stuff, they want like a gratification, like it makes you feel good when you clean the whole house, you want somebody to notice. So you see how we do stuff because we want something out of it. We clean the whole house, so we want somebody to notice. And we want them to notice by helping us keep it clean.
Yeah.
But you don't say it. You just expect it. What sense is it to not say something but expect it? How can nobody reads minds? So we have to verbalize and educate. Um, and then you don't have to get an attitude with everything. Instead of saying, why you put that coat down right there? Take it on in your room. Just explain to them because now what a child hears is yelling. All you do is nag. All you do is yell. You got a bad attitude. Then a lot of y'all get mad when y'all children grow up have a bad attitude. Y'all got the bad attitude. It's generations of bad attitudes. How you gonna get mad at the child because they got a bad attitude? You didn't earn the right to have a bad attitude just because you old. So we have to educate on this kind of stuff. You can't just expect it and then say it with gentleness. Because why would you yell about everything? You yell about everything? You can't just give an answer about anything? Like you have a problem in real life, like legitimately,
Real
you have
life.
a problem.
Yeah.
And I don't care who you are. These old people, if y'all watching, hey, how y'all doing? These old people that just have these bad attitudes.
And
I
got
hope
us.
y'all get it right, because y'all gonna bust head right up.
Then the
But you can't get it ahead like that.
sad part is with the old people, they can be 40, 50, 60, 70 years old. Well, that's how it's a trait and it's an excuse. So you ain't gonna break it.
Right.
Like you gonna break this. You gonna keep it going.
Exactly. And it's just not okay. The mothers of the church, they don't have no right to talk crazy to people. That's just how they do. It's tough love. Tough love. Tough
So
love.
we're gonna get some nuggets on this because we're gonna have to break this one down because this is we got some more to add to this. But on the nuggets of this part one, parenting advice or questioning advice, as we may say, I'm gonna give y'all some key points to think about. So when you, as parents, let's kill this trait. Let's kill it at the head, dig it up, put it in the garbage. We got to change it. We got to get some good habits going on for this generation. We can't keep thinking that these kids know and they really don't. So two of the things that I had wrote down was lead by example. And when I say lead by example, it goes back to how did you feel as a child at that age? Talk to them, break it down, communication. That's why some of these kids don't know how to communicate because we don't know how to communicate. Okay. Also, when you giving the right feedback, get them the right information. Don't just like you say, don't yell, don't go off, don't do all this, and build up a good pattern that they can go by. One of the things that we do have is setting certain chores. Tell them why is the chore necessary. Tell them, and one of the things that I tell my kids, you want to clean up, you want to have a good clean kitchen, you want to clean, because if you don't, they attract certain bugs. We all know y'all don't like bugs, y'all don't like rats, y'all don't like roaches. So guess what? This is why we clean up. I mean, it's easy. So
So
do you
gentle and kind.
add to the advice of going forward with
No, I think
these
that
parents?
I think that covers it. I mean, because it just makes sense. It's very logical. It's not one of those things in my mind, and I know my mind is different, but it's just not something that is difficult. Just pause, first of all. I mean, because if you've been talking crazy all your life, it's kind of hard to break that. You know what I'm saying? So when a question is asked, pause. You can do a little pause um, to think about your response. Also, normalize, and I think this is big, although I'm saying here none of that. Normalize the importance of forgiving, asking for forgiveness. Normalize apologize. What I'm trying to say. Normalize apologizing to your kids. It's nothing wrong with apologizing to your children, because I mean, you want somebody to apologize to you, especially when you want you think your children did something bad, you think your children did something wrong, you want them to apologize to you. Um, don't you think that it's just right for you to apologize to your children? You will be surprised at like the healing that can take place within the household. So a lot of y'all really just need to apologize to your children for things that you've done in the past. And apologizing is not just to say I'm sorry, it's also to change your ways. So that's a good way to start off, is to start off with an apology, and then say, now we're just going to work from here. Also, be open to receive criticism. A lot of parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, all of that feel like they cannot receive any kind of criticism, any kind of if somebody says, well, why you say that like that? Now you got an attitude, because who are you to ask me why I said that? Like, because I wanted to, because I'm grown. That's real stupid. That really just goes to show you that you have a really stupid answer. Because if the only reason is because I said so, because I'm grown, because I wanted to, it's a very unintelligent answer. Unless you have a real reason. And am I saying you can never holler at your child? No, I'm not saying that. Try not to, because They don't hear your words; they just hear loudness, and it goes in one end after the other. But just work on how you say stuff and apologize, move forward with some changes, and do it while they're young. Don't wait until they get old and at the house or getting ready to leave off to school or all of that. Don't wait until they have their own kids and now they come to you for advice and now you reflecting because I did wrong when I did that. I mean, do it while they're young. Some of y'all, of course, it's too late because y'all kids are already grown or whatever. But try to do it while they're young because it's so much easier. I imagine. I imagine that it is so much easier to stop the habits while they're young and let the rest of their childhood be a joyful one with you. That's easier, I imagine, than trying to heal the relationship when they're grown and going on their own. And now they don't want to have nothing to do with you. Also, let's stop projecting and start finding healthy ways to release anger and stress and not on your children. And also look at yourself because a lot of you guys are the problem. And I said that because I just saw somebody, whatever. I just saw somebody who I can see like one of those things where it's like, well, now my children don't talk to me and they don't want to have nothing to do with me and all that stuff. And now you're trying to find reasons why that child, but you have to look at yourself because all you're doing is trying to look out. I ain't never did nothing about it. They always doing this one. No, you did something. Most of the time, most adults who no longer talk to their parents, the parent did something. Parent did something. And it could be that the parent did something they thought was best, but the child didn't perceive it. This is why it's important to answer the question why, so that the child can understand why you did this, why you think this way, why you said that. Instead of saying because I said so, because when you say because I said so, you don't give an answer, you open the door and you leave it open for them to assume. Because now they gotta figure it out. They came to you for the answer. You can't get mad at nobody but yourself, because they came to you for the answer. You was too big, bold, and grown to give an answer. So now they have to go into their own mind and say, is this why? So a lot of children, they feel like their parents don't like them. Why? Because you didn't give them an answer. And that's all they can come up with is my mama must don't like me. My dad must don't like me. And so we have to put the spotlight back on yourself. I know somebody who always says, the truth is the light. I don't care who is shining on. And so sometimes the truth just shines on you. Just tell the truth about who you are, what you've done, what you do, how you can do better. And then and don't just have that aha moment for yourself. Don't just say, okay, I learned, so I'm gonna do better from now. No, go back and correct the past. And you'll be a whole lot better. And your relationship with your kids and that, because it's really a horrible thing. Because when your relationship with your kids are broken, take a look. Your relationship with their kids will be broken. And it's just going to keep going. The longer you live down that line, the relationship, if you got an out with your child, 9 times out of 10, you don't talk to your grandchildren who's by their child either. And isn't that a horrible thing? And isn't it also horrible to just always say they're the problem? Nope, it's you. Now, sometimes is it them? Yeah, sometimes. But guess what? You had a lot to do with it as well. And that just takes a lot of humility. So many people have so much pride. It's ridiculous, the amount of pride that I see. But it just takes humbling yourself and taking on some of that blame and stop trying to be the victim. That's all I have.
That is most definitely the good answer.
Thank you. Thank you.
That within itself is a whole nother podcast.
Ain't
Take
it?
some of the stuff. Quick one. We got a lot of that going on. So with that being said, thank you, Reggie, for those nuggets that you just dropped us at the end. And so part 2, we got another situation coming up. Thank you for tuning in. We will see you soon.
Tell them the situation. Tell them the situation to give them something to expect.
And I'm gonna just say this: how old is too old for your kids to be staying with you, and what age should you put them out?
Put them out.
Cause we putting kids out nowadays.
My
We give
God.
time frame. We giving
My
them
God.
18, 17. Well, you grown nowadays. So this goes to
Get out.
the age situation. So, but tune in, come back, so we can readjust, straighten up, and get our thoughts together so y'all can hear what we got to say regarding this.
Boom.
See you later.
Bye.